Hello everybody, thank you for joining us for today's video. Today we're going to follow up after last week's video where we talked about what happens if you tell your therapist that you're doing something illegal, and maybe just go a little more in depth on one of the ones we hear most commonly, which is what if I tell my therapist I'm smoking weed or doing any kind of drug.
Right, and weed is currently illegal here in Utah unless you have a medical card, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what do you do? What happens?
I think this is up for Shara to answer.
This actually happens a lot.
Yeah.
And we have people disclose this to us in lots of different ways. So sometimes people kind of just like drop this in passing, like, you know, oh, I was doing this and this and this yesterday, and then I smoked some weed, and then, right? And so it kind of just gets dropped in passing. And other times people will come in and specifically have the idea that they want to tell us about this or want to see how we'll react to this. That kind of thing. So sometimes people come in and almost have it kind of has like a confession type of a feel to it. Like, I got to confess that this is something that I'm doing. I think that's the way that we most often have clients come in and express that this is what's going on.
Yeah. And as for like how a therapist is going to respond to that, I think we'd probably all be in agreement that they're going to do with that whatever you want to do with that. Right? There might probably be some exploring as well, but if you want to stop, we'll help you stop. If you don't, we'll talk about why.
You know, there's a part of me that sits here and wonders, like, if I think about all of the therapists in our community, there has got to be a therapist somewhere that's going to lecture you about how bad it is.
For sure.
There just has to be, right? So when I think, is that what I'm going to do? No, I'm not going to do that.
And is that good therapy?
Right.
No,
right.
That's not good therapy.
And I would agree with that. So I guess the range of what could happen can be as big as the range exists.
The range of therapists that are out there.
Yeah. But one of the things that I always tell my clients, and I'm curious if you guys feel the same way, is I feel like my job as a therapist isn't necessarily to tell you what to do with your life, but more to point out patterns that I see, and then decide what you want to do once that pattern is visible to you. And so one of the things I tell people all the time is, like, I can only help to the extent that I actually know what's happening. So if you come in and let's say you're smoking weed or drinking alcohol or whatever, and you minimize how much you're using, I can only help to the degree of minimization that I'm aware of, right? If you're smoking or drinking or whatever all day long, but you tell me, I microdose, which is one that I hear occasionally, right? Then I'm going to develop a treatment plan based off of A, microdosing, B, what do you want to do with this, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Whether it's illegal or if you have your card here in Utah. So to me, like, I would always just rather know, because then I know what else to watch for and how to develop a treatment plan. But I'm not going to report anything. I don't think that would even be...
It's not reportable.
Who do you report that to?
Yeah,
Call the cops? Like, you could sue me for that, right? Like,
Sure.
Right. I mean, so it's definitely not reportable, but I do think for therapists, for most therapists, I hope, right? The thing that we're most likely to do is to just help you explore, like, where this fits in your life, how it fits in your life, and if it's something that you want to change or if it's something that you want to keep doing, right?
Yeah.
Does this fit in your value system? Because as therapists, it's not our job to give you advice. I know that people really want that. Like, people really want us to tell them what to do. That is not our job. Our job is to help you figure out what your values are and how to live those the best. Not what my values are and how you can live them. That's not going to be helpful for anybody, right?
Yeah, telling people like don't give advice is my favorite cop out.
Right. And so I think that that's the biggest thing. Like, if you go in, you tell a therapist, most therapists are going to say, okay, well, let's just back that up a little bit. Tell me how that fits in your life. Tell me what you do, how often you do it. Do you feel like it's something you're in control of? How does it affect you? Right? You're just going to do a little bit of exploring about it more than anything.
Yeah, just like any other behavior, the behavior maybe is less important than the why or what need it's fulfilling, and then I think that's what that exploration fits in, and like Josh said, you can kind of take it from there and say, what we want to do, is this not what we want to do? Do we need to find a replacement behavior, or can we do this and still achieve your goals that you do have, those kind of things.
Right. Anything else that people should expect?
What if you're a minor?
Oh, that's a good question.
That's a good question.
Yeah, if you're a minor, we're still not required to report that. And we're actually, at least for myself, I am not going to be telling a person's parent that they're smoking weed. I have had parents approach me and say, hey, do you know if my kid is smoking weed? And parents legally have a right to access their child's medical information. And so I will tell the parent, look, if you want me to tell you what they say in session, I can, but it will equate to me getting fired because they will never ever talk to me again.
Yeah.
So, marijuana use or something like that is not something I'm going to disclose. And even if a parent doesn't appreciate that, I'm really probably not going to disclose that to a parent unless they insist on completely like sabotaging the therapeutic process.
Sure.
These are situations that I just hate.
Yeah, I hate that too.
Because it honestly feels like a no-win.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think there's definitely, like, I lean that similar way. Like, let me work with the minor to get to a point where the minor can talk with the parent about it. And that may take a couple of weeks, it may take a couple of months, and that's usually the route that I go. Whether you agree with it or not, let us know in the comments, I guess, right? Like,
Yeah.
Well,
I think the only exception to that, like we talked about last time too, is, and maybe you run into this less with weed and more with other drugs, is like if there's a safety concern.
safety.
Yeah.
like an immediate safety
Mhm.
concern, right?
Mm-hmm.
Anything else?
I don't think so. I feel like this is a pretty direct,
straightforward.
like,
Yeah.
we're not calling the cops. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I guess
Yeah.
I would just say for people, like, this is something we hear all the time. It might be something that you feel a little stressed about telling us. We're not stressed about addressing it. And again, a good therapist, a therapist who knows what they're doing, they're not going to try to talk you in or out of a behavior. That's not their job. And so it's fine to bring it in. It's fine to talk about it. It's not something that you need to hide or be concerned that we're going to push you in a specific direction, right?
Yeah.
That shouldn't really be happening in therapy.
Perfect.
The end.
The end. Well, thanks everybody for joining us for this quick video. Hopefully it was helpful. If that's a question you had, if you have any other questions, please leave them in the comments. Don't tell us you're doing drugs in the comments. I don't know what I'll do with that. But we'll see you on the next video.
Thanks.
Thank you.